Good evening, Michael.
Good evening. How are you?
I've been better. I've been worse. So,
You having any pain?
um, I'm feeling more just, I think I may have mentioned it the other night. I'm feeling more like my head's kind of stuffed with a head cold. And for some reason, I'm having some lingering scratchiness of the throat. I don't know what that's all about. But I go tomorrow morning early, and they should probably pull the stents out. So that should make me a little happier and be able to breathe a little better.
Hopefully.
But, you know, otherwise it's the regular healing process. So there's flushing and seepage and fun stuff like that. But I'm hoping the end result is worth it. Because I've been suffering with breathing issues for
Yeah.
decades. I think I at first was early on tested for issues back when I was early 20s or something like that, and I'm about 4 decades from that.
Aren't we both?
uh,
How was today's half day of the National NORML conference?
did something start today with it? I
I
missed.
thought that was today. Maybe I
No, it
looked at my
starts
calendar.
Thursday. It's
Oh,
Thursday and Friday.
oh, okay. Well, that's good. At least I'm maybe able to catch a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen any reminders or something pop up about it because I registered for it, and I'm sure I'll get notice. Click here to log on or whatever. And that's one of the things actually we'll be talking about tonight because as a chapter, we've been asked to do a couple of things to participate in the national conference. Um, what time is it? 7:01. No, heck, we're close enough. Let's chat. Um, Actually, let me do this officially. Welcome to our guests that are with us this evening, and welcome to anybody who's watching later on YouTube. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and are not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. All right, close the right window. Good. I want to move that one there. Um, Yeah, so actually we have some deadlines, and one of them was we need to set up a chapter open house Zoom meeting or some sort of open house event, whether you do a YouTube live or Facebook live. I think they kind of let it up to the chapters how they want to do it, um, so that they could sort of maybe check in live with you or send people from their conference and say, hey, if you want to check out in your area, quick log in over here on this link to the Lowcountry Normal open house. And so I scheduled an hour Zoom meeting for it, and it'll be one of those things that I probably won't be here in a party hat serving hors d'oeuvres or anything. Uh, um, I thought about it because besides talking about chapter business, what else am I going to do for an hour on an open house kind of thing? And some of you may know I have this collection of marijuana related board games. I'll probably pull some of those in and talk about them just for shits and giggles. Um, but those are things. And the other thing they asked us to do was do a kind of promo intro to the chapter that they could play as a little video they were looking for, I think, 90 seconds to 2 minutes, or they said 30 seconds to 90, and I think I went 2 minutes. um, but I went and just basically took the phone camera down to where Gadsden's Wharf would have been, where they're building the new International African American Museum. And if you walk out on one of the docks, because there's some docks out there where the boats are parked, and I don't really know if I was allowed to be wandering out there or not, but nobody stopped me, and there was really not too many people around. Um, could get out far enough on the dock where I could turn in one direction and I could see Fort Sumter and basically where Fort Johnson would be behind me in one direction, turn around the other direction and see them under construction with this museum. And I just thought that they were kind of strong, iconic images of some of the reasons why we just fight for civil rights in South Carolina, and this, I think I put it as, and the strength that we have to be able to, follow through with those fights. The Civil War started right here in our harbor, and was successful for I believe, the right side. And so I think that was all iconic. So we'll see what kind of feedback, if any. But those are the things we're sort of doing to participate in the conference. I am going to real quick I need to open up a new tab on another window. I bet you I just spelled that all wrong. No. I have too many things open. Conference promo guide. That's kind of what I was looking for. Let me see if I can find this. I will post the if I can get this to open. There we go. They have them listed on their page. Let's see if I can copy this. That should be day 1 and day 2 of their Facebook events for it, which still may take you out with a need to, excuse me, with a need to register from outside of Facebook. And then that other stuff is more from my records there. Oh, that's the link I was probably looking for earlier. I think I misspelled it. Bear with me a second. I've just broken the internet, I think. Okay, that should be it. That should at least take you to the login information and registration information. And that does start, what am I seeing here? Noon to 5 on the 22nd and the 23rd. 2-day virtual pay what you can event. I'm a cheapskate. I'm unemployed. I didn't pay. Sorry, all. I just realized my mic was up. Can everybody hear me? I'm sort of mumbling to myself.
Yeah, we were able to hear you pretty well.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Get my pen so I can think a little better. And chapter business is what we kind of talk about at our monthly meetings. And chapter business is usually we kind of start talking about the legislative, what's going on legislatively. We've been talking on our cannabis conversation a lot about politics and the elections coming up. I'm not going to get into the political aspect of it right now, except to, again, as we get close to the elections, reach out to your legislators, ask them to sign on as co-sponsors to the MORE Act. We really want to get some momentum going on this, see if we can push that vote that got postponed from before. Contact your legislators about the MORE Act, ask them to support. Otherwise, I haven't really been following national legislative news. And of course, the big news, our second thing that we've been doing is state level legislation. And that's all, again, done until January, I believe it was the 15th or 16th is the first day of the new session. Get my calendar up here. Second Tuesday of the month. So it's probably not like as late as the 16th, but it might be. Boom, boom, boom. 12th. January 12th is the first day of the new legislative session. It will be a 2-year session. We can expect new bills to be submitted, then very soon after that, maybe even a little bit before, because there are early submissions of bills as early as December. I'm pretty sure that if Tom Davis wins this election in his jurisdiction in his area, he'll pretty much resubmit the bill as it stands. You probably all know from our point of view here at NORML, the bill really needs amendments. It doesn't go far enough. It's too restrictive. It imposes new harms upon people that are caught with simple possession, and maybe making simple statement like, "Oh, it's my medicine." It can be misconstrued that they're misrepresenting themselves as a green card holder, as a card holder, that kind of stuff. So we have our issues with the legislation as it stands. Would love to see some better legislation written, drafted. We'll see where that goes. The other thing I do want to talk about, state level legislation moving into the new year. I missed a lot of it at the beginning of last session, but there were a number of decriminalization bills, just simple possession decrim bills at the state level. And really none of them got a whole lot of support. I think one eventually got the others to sign theirs, and there may have been like 3 or 4 signatures on that one. And I think part of the reason that really doesn't get moved or pushed is we never think to push that envelope. We never think to ask our voters to say, "Hey, we know this legislation's out there," because I didn't. We want you to sign on to it with other legislators, and ask all of our supporters to do that kind of thing. So we're going to be keeping a much closer eye on that as we move forward in this coming year. Outside of that, state level stuff, chapter level is where I really wanted to kind of focus on tonight, because I've been neglecting it quite a bit. And Kristen sort of hit the nail on the head. The words I'm looking for. Boy, the mind's not working well tonight. In the newsletter that she drafted the other day, we sort of kind of spaced on the newsletter, and she remembered and told me, "Hey, we got I did this, and got a newsletter put together for us." And so I took a quick browsing on it before filling in my little corner, and saw that she had mentioned board members, looking for board members, looking for participants in our structure as an organization. And I'm glad to see that Joey signed on with us tonight, because he had sent me an email asking me a little bit about what are I should probably read the email or look at it a little closer, but what does it entail? What's involved? What's the commitment that's needed? That type of thing. And of course, based on the board position, some of the requirements would probably be a little different than others. And as our board stands, our board positions are the director, a deputy director, a secretary, a treasurer, and a communications director. We've kind of been making some variations to that at some point, adding non-boarded officers like a legal advisor. It's just something I would like to add on into our bylaws, is that we try to get a legal advisor on board. And I see as some chapters, LA Normal is a good example. There you've got a large number of people that are participating, and they have a political director, and they have uh, a community outreach director, and they have all kinds of, not all of them are necessarily officers on that board, but there are other uh, positions that are still, they still come and they join in on the board meetings, and they share what's going on in their areas and that kind of stuff. Um, we haven't quite had the pleasure here in the Low Country chapter uh, to grow and expand at that rate. Matter of fact, usually on a good day, we've got two of us actively on the board, and then some people along the way that says, "Yeah, you can put my name in there for paperwork if you need to." And you know, I think one was pretty much for a little bit was more of a monetary donor, um, and not that they necessarily bought a board position or something. It has no real value to it. But for the most part, what I asked initially of all of our board members would be probably, and again, these are going to be guesses because uh, about a half an hour before the meeting, I started going through this clutter that I call a desk, and I thought I had a list somewhere on that I was drafting up some new like requirements or duties of the board. Um, and there's really not a whole lot per se to do. Now, mind you, I'm looking for a treasurer. Treasurer would probably have to have some basic accounting skills, and I don't mean like anything beyond balancing your home checkbook kind of stuff. Um, there is some forms that need to be filled out federal level. If somebody had maybe, you know, loved math, loved doing that stuff, and had a passion for it, that might be a great board position for them. Um, the deputy director position, that's basically been an open position since we've organized. That's for the most part somebody to mirror what the director does in case the director is incapable or incapacitated, um, that kind of thing, and to work together on projects with them, and across the whole organization. Um, that one's a bit of a challenging one because that one, of course, the commitment would have to be to what's the way I should best put it? Get out of me when I try to tell people. uh, Sometimes it's a matter of I mean, deputy director. I could see it as like when we were planning to go, and we don't get a lot of situations where we're asked to be interviewed by the news, and then I get sick and can't make it. Most of the interviews we've done was radio. I've been told I have a face for radio, and emailed type questionnaire interviews. Um, so those type of things, usually even if I'm pretty well rough, I have a couple of days to work on something. I can flush it out. Would it ever be where we needed the director to be representing the organization in multiple locations? A great option where the deputy director could step in because the director is representing at one particular function. The deputy director could lead and represent it at another function, lead and or represent, that kind of thing. Um, so that's that one. And then, of course, the secretary, we're going to be tracking the membership and kind of tracking our calendar, helping us track our calendar, our emails, that kind of thing. A lot of that stuff I do for the most part, except I would like somebody to learn our system a little bit and really help us drill down on the um, membership and trying to find benefits to membership and um, more communication with membership. Because I think a lot of times people get from us they'll send in their $30 annual fee, and they'll get 12 emails from us, and they'll see us post on Facebook, and And they go, well, geez, everybody can see a post on Facebook and everybody can join your newsletter. What extra did I get besides that warm feeling in my heart that I help support the cause? Um, so that's sort of what I would look at for our secretary. Communications director, of course, is going to help us look at our communications overall, be responsible for things like the newsletter, for our social media overall direction, and that kind of stuff. Also, probably would be a good person also to fall in line for some interview situations if need be. Um, the things that I kind of look at, where did I bury that other window I had here? I tried to do a little blurb one time. We're seeking nominees that possess the skills required to fulfill the duties of the board position applied for, along with the drive and conviction it takes to help guide the mission of a multifaceted, multifaceted nonprofit organization's goals of educating the public on the reasons to vote to reform marijuana laws. Board membership is an uncompensated volunteer position. Do you have what it takes to help guide the cannabis law reform, education, and advocacy efforts of Lowcountry NORML? Contact us at. Um, and really, the commitment that I ask for is to one, attend our monthly meeting. This particular once a month meeting is something that I ask our board members to be able to attend our monthly meeting, which is the third Tuesday of every month, to sit and talk about that. We also have a weekly board meeting every Saturday morning. I say every, thank goodness, with it just Kristen and I, and our sometimes conflicting schedules, we'll pop it over to a Sunday. Um, as we fill the board up, I would love to have the obligation to say, hey, we got to pick, one time and stick to it. But on the flip side, the other side of it, I've been the reason that we've missed meetings too, because Saturday morning, matter of fact, I have a close one coming up because I think we have a 9:30 meeting and then I have a 10:30 volunteer on John's Island, 40 minutes or so from my home. Doesn't really give me any time to meet with Kristen, and I'll have to probably talk to her about switching that one. Anyway, attending those weekend meetings for the most part. I mean, if you can't make every single one, that's completely understandable. Especially like I said, we already see with two of us, it's sometimes not always easy to get on track on the same day, and then to bump everybody the following day. Maybe we'll have to see how that plays out. The other thing is NORML National does 2 phone conference Zoom meeting calls a week, and they schedule them monthly. And some of them are repetitive. I've sat in on a couple of them many times, or yeah, I think I've sat in on a number of those meetings before they actually started using Zoom, and it was an actual telephone call-in conference call. And those were even kind of more annoying. At least with a Zoom meeting, you can look at the person talking or something. Um, and uh, those are pretty informative because we get to know what's going on at national level. We'll get political updates on those. We do have administrative housekeeping discussions about our own chapters and what we need to do housekeeping administratively. Um, and so those would be things that, again, as a board member, I'd say, hey, see if you can sit in on as many of these as you can. If you're available. Now, mind you, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So if somebody has a 9 to 5 job where they're out at work until 5 o'clock and then they still have to get home, they're not going to easily be able to get in and sit in on any of these meetings. They're not recorded because, again, sometimes there's conversation in there that's just not something we want to record and put out there, that the National doesn't want to record and put out there, because it might be planning information or whatever. And it just doesn't need to be posted in a place where the public could possibly find it. Um, and I think if you can actually record it on your own device. I think I can record them at home and keep it. But anyway, those are kind of, oh, and then the last thing I do kind of ask as a big ask on my end is to always keep in mind and assist us with our fundraising. I mean, we're not a large dollar corporation, although we do have our 501c4. We're probably treading real thin ice because of the delays I've had on filing some financial reports for our 2019 year. And now, yeah, any day now, a couple of weeks now, we'll be doing, our 2020 tax returns, which really aren't really tax returns. They're a financial report. And that's again why I kind of asked and looking for somebody that may be acting as our treasurer. And it's not that I can't do it. I've done it before. I despise it with the plague. I avoid it. I put it off till the very last second. And I didn't check our mailbox this week, but I'm waiting for another letter from the Secretary of State to go, if you don't file this shit, you're done. And yeah, I think the process takes about 3 years for them to boot you off of a nonprofit status or something like that, and threaten to slap your hands. So it will get done. I always promise it'll get done. I've just, again, this 2020 has been a really, besides the pandemic, has been a challenging year for me health wise. So it has kind of knocked me back, and I've gotten a whole lot of nothing done this year. Um, and all the more reason to beg for board members. But yeah, the last thing really is helping us with our fundraising. I kind of laughed to myself in a way because I think, I don't know if it was an ironic laugh or if it was a hoof of jealousy or what it was. But Virginia NORML, now mind you, they're right there by Washington, D.C. But their board members are asked to contribute, or not necessarily contribute directly, but to be responsible for raising $1,000 a year, I think it was. Yeah, so a little under $100 a month. Um, it's not a lot to some people, but to others it is. And so I don't want to really put a barrier into participation. And it's not like, again, we're asking it for anybody from your pocket. Actually, I kind of like some of their suggestions where they said, yeah, why don't you just have a little party at your home and put a little jar out and ask your friends to throw a couple bucks in to support NORML while they're there. Me with my board games, I could probably do a board game night and say, hey, while you're here, would you throw a little donation to NORML in there and help me fill the tills for the organization? Otherwise, a lot of our funds are coming through our website of sales of T-shirts and the Leafly lanyards. And I haven't checked inventory lately, but I think we're down to 5 of the lanyards. Excuse me while I drink. Sorry about that. And those have been pretty steady. We got 3 gross of those from Leafly a few years back, and we initially gave them out as a kind of a perk for new members. You sign up for membership, you'll get, well, it was the expanded pack, the $60 version. You would get a T-shirt, you would get a lanyard, you would get the stickers, that kind of stuff that comes with that packet. But apparently when Leafly kind of dropped them off their website, these things kind of became a, Krista must have lost her connection, must have become sort of a collectible item. And they've been moving pretty steadily over the past 8 or 10 months out of our inventory to the point where, like I say, we're down about 4 or 5. Oh, she had to leave. She didn't get disconnected. So we're going to kind of look for some new options as moving forward. As many of you know, we did have National has its 50th anniversary this year, and they have done the rebranding. So we're probably going to be preparing in the near future to restock on some of the new design t-shirts. I just wanted to reduce our other inventory a little bit first and have a couple of bucks to buy the new shirts. That's about it, I think, for discussion this evening. Like I said, I saw Kristen had to scoot. Any questions on the board membership or things like that? Any? I know we do have a. Let me see what they call it. I'm gonna find the window. Where is it? We do have a member disclaimer form basically, and what the disclaimer form is just to make it clear that you're not profiting from the organization in any way or doing it for personal gain, and that a good example is I think they had at national limit on your involvement in the cannabis industry, because they don't want you like pushing your product as or seeing it a connection of a promotion of a product type thing. But yeah, it's pretty well explained in our conflict of interest questionnaire. If anybody is interested in getting involved, again, you can always email me at lowcountrynormal@gmail.org. And I probably, as a little disclaimer here, I think I may have touched on it earlier. We do need to look at our bylaws. I'm not real clear if we're working under the new or the old version of the bylaws that were recommended by NORML National. So I have to take a look at them just to make sure that we're on the right page. And don't expose ourselves to liability. That's kind of, I did want to touch on, since there's a public meeting going forward, we always talk about upcoming schedules and things like that. After the election, what do we have going? We are preparing to put out a South Carolina cannabis questionnaire, a survey, a poll, basically similar to the Winthrop survey that was done in 2016. The one that is referred to quite often by our legislators when they're talking about, excuse me, how many South Carolinians support or oppose. We're also thinking about putting together a gift pack of some sort with some of our books, like Emerging Clinical Applications and Marijuana is Safer, and a kind of a letter of introduction and support for cannabis to the legislators as the new session opens. Haven't worked out details on that, but again, that's something we're looking to do. And again, as we get into the beginning of this new session, I would love to see if there's any way we can organize a lobby day, a day to rent a van or minibus or something, and get up to Columbia and basically we kind of make appointments ahead of time, not just knock on doors, but go and visit some legislators and hand them the books ourselves, especially ones that we know that are supporters, and just sort of give them that extra boost and welcome and see if we can kind of kick the ball down the aisle a little further, kick the can down the alley, as they used to say. Otherwise, we're gonna, as many of you know, moving into the holiday season. We're not planning any kind of holiday events this year. I had mentioned to Kristen just a couple of our board meetings ago that I'm actually missing some of the monthly meetings that we used to do out on location. The one place, a char bar, T-Bone's Char Bar, Gill and Grill, whatever it was a fun spot. We had some good meetings there. We had some good turnouts at those. I think the top we had was close to 17 people. And to me, that was a good sized meeting. Um, so we're looking forward to some of that again, moving into the new year. But again, through 2020, I think everything's going to still be pretty much locked down. I'm going to finish my healing from this past surgery, continue addressing my other health issues that I've been kind of dealing with this year. And see if I can get most of those remedied. I have some family coming in near Thanksgiving for a couple of days. And then, of course, with the holiday season, um, I don't really celebrate holidays per se, but I will probably be volunteering at the park for some of their events and things like that. So we'll keep you posted on what's going on with all that stuff, but especially what we're going to be doing locally. I forgot to mention, as I often do. I've been saying it for a while. After the elections, I think is really a time to, if we can get folks to start talking about or thinking about not only decriminalizing bills at the state level, but our decriminalization petitions right here in Charleston, South Carolina, and James Island, Folly Beach are the three that we currently have. Um, I just saw and shared on our Facebook group an ad for Sheriff Cannon. I'm going to bring this up real quick. So let me hit my share screen. Sorry to keep you on the. Oh, we're not that late, but just that should take me to about there now. Groups. There we go. And I just thought this was a rather interesting ad. We have Sheriff Al Cannon, marijuana reform ticket and release. No, Sheriff Cannon does not support legalizing marijuana, but does recognize the need for reform in this area. Now, I'm relatively new to Charleston, a little shy of 5 years now. I think Cannon's been around for 20 or 25. And it's just in the past year or two. Actually, it was December 19 when they started talking about the not really directing cannabis arrests. But that was because they had like triple the population in a prison that was supposed to be built for like 600 people. They just had locked up so many freaking pot possessions already. And by just doing that, they remedied the situation. And that's been going on for how many decades? So I take that one with a grain of salt. Of course, we have our different comments from our commenters on our group. I we've seen the ACLU reports on cannabis arrests in Charleston County as well as others. And I think Charleston County itself is slightly lower than the national average of 3.5. I think I have to remember the numbers. I think that it's 3.2. But other counties make up for it here in South Carolina very well. Uh, so I just wanted to bring that up. I posted because I found it kind of an interesting, moving too many things around, an interesting ad from Al Cannon. And if you're in Charleston County, you may agree with me, or may not. All right. Again, thank you for joining me this evening. I am going to kind of end it. I'm getting a little scratchy in the head, and I think I've just talked myself out, and I'm starting to ramble now. So we are here for our regular online public meetings every third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Otherwise, as the folks with us know tonight, but others that are watching later may not. We also have a Sunday night at 7 p.m. South Carolina Cannabis Conversation, where we try and talk about anything and everything in the reforming marijuana laws conversation. We don't really talk about partying and things like that when we talk about cannabis. So sorry for all those that might want to do that. There's plenty of other groups and Zooms for that. Don't forget, if you want to visit our website, normalsc.org, and our email is lowcountrynormal@gmail.com. And as always, we tend to post way more than we should, or I'm on Facebook way more than I should, but look for Lowcountry Normal on Facebook. That's it for tonight. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all back here again soon. Good night now.
Joey. Good night.